All right, guys. So if you haven't heard of the rapper Julio Fulio, he was a famous rapper from Florida and he lived the gangster lifestyle. And you know, if you live by the sword, well, you die by the sword. But the young men who killed him were 18 years old, or they just got convicted of murder, each and every one of them. And their reactions seemed a little bit crazy to me. They didn't really seem very remorseful at all. It was kind of like when your mom tells you to say sorry and you're not actually sorry. So I just think that this is spiritual warfare. I think that the black community especially is under attack spiritually. I think 99% of the problems that the black community is facing are spiritual issues. It's just deeper than anything systematic or anything that any of us can do. I think it will literally take the power of Jesus Christ to save the black community. And that's also why the fatherless homes are so high, because Satan tends to attack the protector of the family, the man. So I bet all of those gentlemen who killed Julio Fulio and him himself probably didn't have great male role models in their lives, but we'll talk more about that. Let's get into it.
A Tampa jury has found all 4 defendants guilty in the killing of Charles Jones, the Jacksonville rapper known as Julio Fulio.
State of Florida versus Isaiah Jermaine Chance. We, the jury, finds as follows as to count 1, victim Charles Jones. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder as charged. State of Florida versus Sean Andre Gathright. We, the jury, finds as follows as to count 1, victim Charles Jones. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder as charged. State of Florida versus Rashad Trayvon Murphy. We, the jury, finds as follows as to count 1, victim Charles Jones. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder as charged. And the State of Florida versus Davion Rashad Murphy. We, the jury, finds as follows as to count 1, victim Charles Jones. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder as charged.
Isaiah Chance, Sean Gathright, Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy were all found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy charges. The verdict came Friday after about 8 hours of deliberations. All 4 men are now set to return to court Monday for the penalty phase. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. Follow for more trial coverage.
They all got charged with murder. They all look very young. To me, just from the outside in, just looking at them, they don't look like bad guys, but I mean, they're murderers. So I don't know, man. I just want to figure out how could this have been prevented, which I don't think there's anything that anybody could do. It's deeper than, any law or any school program. It starts in the home. It is 100% spiritual. I mean, if you look at what these guys did, it was very aggressive and heinous. Let's hear one of the guys talk, though. They're so young, it's crazy. When you hear them talk, you almost want to start to feel bad for them. But then when you see the video of what they actually did, you don't feel bad for them at all. If you take another man's life and the state takes your life with a life sentence, I mean, hey, that's how it goes, man. Don't do the crime if you ain't willing to do the time.
I just want to address the court today, and, I'm not here to dispute anything. I'm just here to be a man and take responsibility and express my feelings about this whole situation. That's what I plan on doing.
Okay. And how do you feel?
I feel very remorseful. This is a terrible situation. It's been
I feel very remorseful.
a traumatic experience.
Traumatic
To
for
the
who?
victim's family, I want to send my deepest condolences, and I understand that it's hard losing a child, a best friend, a brother, a cousin, and for that I just cannot say sorry enough. I feel terrible about the situation, but I'm a firm believer that God can use anything for good that the devil wants it for bad. And so I am grateful for the people I've met, for the lessons that I've learned, for just this experience in general, because it's one that I'll never forget, and it's going to shape the rest of my life.
Sounds like there's that saying, it's kind of cheesy, but you make lemons out of lemonade or whatever. Make
Lemonade out of lemons.
Somehow. I obviously don't make lemonade, but it sounds to me like you are going to try and make the best of a bad situation. Does that sound about right?
Of course.
And are you going to continue to do that?
Of course, I'm gonna try to, continue a humble life, a righteous life. Try to do the right things at all times, and
Will you apprise yourself? We've heard about some, courses and programs and things that you can get involved with to stay busy in prison. Is that something that you plan to do?
yeah. So hearing Raul's testimony was, the first glimpse that I have of, what prison it could be like. I want to stay as busy as possible, stay away from bad apples. I want to, keep a job, get into programs, try to get into any vocational things I can do, try to, keep my record clean to, go to the...
All right, man. So one thing that he said that I liked was, God does use all things according to his glory, what the Bible says. And I think that hopefully he can use, stories like this so that other young men in their position do not commit the same crime. I mean, if you look at every person in jail, their testimony, they always say, this is not the way. This is not where you want to be. Yet we continue to go there. So I'm not really understanding where the disconnect is. I mean, if you ask any person in jail, they will tell you it's not where you want to be. It is trash. It is terrible. I've never been, but I have many friends who have been. Every single one tells me the exact same thing. This is not where you want to be. Now, he was saying, for the rest of his life, he'll never forget this, and he will never forget it, because in the state of Florida, they are looking to give him the death penalty. And, he's only 18, so he probably won't get the actual death until for a while. So he's got some time. He'll do a lot of years in their life. If it looks like it's going to be death penalty or life without parole, and that's what they do in the state of Florida. They don't play. But again, I mean, you made a grown man choice. You chose to run down on someone and murder them. And the repercussions of that are going to be brutal, So hopefully this can serve as a lesson and example to other young men in his position who are living the street life and seeing, okay, this is not the way to go. But he talked a lot about God, which I was pretty surprised about. But they say every man believes in God when he's in a dark hole, which that makes sense. But what God could also be doing with this is, if he would have never been in this position, maybe he never would have came to God. Maybe his soul is saved, and maybe his life is gone, but his soul could be saved, and eternity's a lot longer than our life on earth. So, in the end, this could have been, I'm not saying it's the best thing for him, but I mean, who knows? Who knows, honestly? God does things that we will never understand, and he allows things to happen that we will never understand. Someone told me, trying to understand God is like trying to explain quantum physics to an ant, even really deeper than that. So when you put it like that, we'll never understand God fully. We never will. But we are going to submit and accept. Now let's actually watch the video of the crime, because it is wild. And I don't know if YouTube will let it on there, but I'm going to try it. We'll see. It's 2026, bro. If you are committing crimes in 2026 and you expect to get away with that with all the technology they have, I don't know what to tell you, my brother. This ain't like back in the day in the, 1800s, you could commit a crime and grow a mustache and go be the sheriff and look for yourself. But now, all that technology they got, facial recognition and phone pings and everything, you are not getting away with that, my brother. You're not. It's probably them. Ooh. How many cameras are catching this? Ooh. Dang. Still going. Dang. Still going. Wow. Well, that's pretty bad, man. If you do that type of thing, you're going to get a life sentence or the death penalty. And that's how it should be. It's got to be an example to everyone else so this does not continue to happen. But again, it's a spiritual thing, because there are some stats, guys, that if I told you, you may not believe it. But I'm about to pull them up. So if black men are roughly 6% of the population and commit 56% of all murders, because this is a stat that, it's widely known, everyone's looked it up, wouldn't it actually be less than 6% because the older black men are not doing this? You don't see no 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old black men running around, doing this. It's the YNs that we know. These are FBI stats from FBI data. You got to add the age adjustment. There are teens to mid-30s. Makes sense. Okay. Adjusted percentage for prime age black males. The effective population share for the group committing most murders is likely 2 to 3% of the U.S. population, or lower for the narrowest peak ages like 18 through 24. Yet they account for the bulk of 50%, over 50% of all the murders. Your intuition is correct. Guys, we have a true problem in the black community, and it is 100% spiritual. And I don't think that there's anything that any human can do about this. So we just have to pray. I think it's extremely sad, but this is why we say the things and do the things we do on the Cartier Family channel. People call us names. They say, you're not black and this and all that and coon and all that. But we don't care because we're keeping it real. We're calling out problems. And I think that it's like, if you don't admit that this is a problem, how are we going to get past this problem? Then we got BLM and all them people who are silent when Chicago has murders every week. So this is really sad. Just pray for the world, man. Pray for the world. End times are near. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm gone.